Hello, basketball fans. DC Hewitt here for Fantasy Basketball Analyzer, and we're going to talk about some Week 7 waiver pickups, either to add for season long or just streaming for this Week 7. If you didn't see the schedule breakdown yet, I did a whole video on that for Week 7 and gave you some names there like Joe Ingles and Derrick White before he came back. So check that video out either first or after this, but don't miss it. There's some good stuff with the schedule. I'm going to throw up the condensed schedule here just to see how many games are playing as I talk my way through this. So we're going to talk about people rostered in 50% or less of leagues, work our way down for those deeper leagues, but want to be as helpful as possible, right? But before I do that, I always break that rule and just remind you, Derrick White's back. He had a pretty good game, and hopefully his minutes will keep going up. He's rostered in 64% of leagues, so he's not widely available, but still worth a check. Someone commented on the last video and said that they're in like a 20-team league and Derrick White was still out there. So it's worth taking a look because you can scoop him up. Along those lines, I feel a little bit like a broken record because I keep mentioning Kyle Anderson every week. But he's rostered in 53% of leagues, and I still think he's worth having on your roster. Ja's back and stuff. I think people maybe got sick of it because the Grizzlies didn't play for so long. But go take a look. Like, he's usable and more usable than a lot of the guys we're going to talk about. I think he's getting overlooked. All right, getting into the players that are 50% or less, the real focus of this. I mentioned in the last video, but Anthony Edwards, he's at 49% right now, so he's just barely on the cusp. I actually think he has more name value recognition because he was the number one pick than he's probably going to have for your fantasy team. But if he's starting, that's probably going to increase his minutes. 2 games ago, he had 25, 4, 2, and 3. The 3 steals is nice. The next game, he had 15, 4, and 3. He's going to take a lot of shots. I don't know that he's going to shoot super great. Like, he could sink your percentage. I mentioned this in the last video. I think of it kind of like the numbers you're going to get from Cole Anthony, where hot or not, he's going to take a lot of shots if he's given to. Like, that seems to be the type of player he is. And so if you're playing a categories league, you might not want 38% from Anthony Edwards. But I think he's worth picking up. He's going to have some trade value if you're in a league that does trade. If not, I'm going to drop down to someone more widely available. Thad Young at 21% is actually probably my number one suggestion, and I'm a little annoyed he had such a good game last night. He only had 8 points, but he had 11 rebounds and 11 assists. Where are all those assists coming from? I had Thaddeus Young on my list that I was going to talk about on yesterday's show, but Chicago doesn't have a great schedule. They play the Knicks twice, which is by numbers a bad matchup, and then they play Orlando twice at the end, which is pretty neutral. So I was saving him for this video, and now I'm kicking myself because I wish I would have talked about it before he had that game and you guys could have had a chance. So hopefully he's still out there for you. Like I said, he's only rostered in 23% of leagues, so he should be widely available. I think he's the number one ad right now because you're going to get to use him for a while. It's not just you can plug him in for this week. He's got 4 games. Go for it. He's not really a streamer this week just based on the days of the week he played. But if he's putting up these numbers, he's worth playing over some other guys. And with Wendell Carter out, he should get more minutes. It's interesting to see him evolve from, being more of a wing player to now he's like a small ball 5. But that's a great fit, and it seems to be working. I think Thaddeus Young should be owned in all leagues. You might not have someone to cut for him, but I think someone in every league has someone that they should cut for him. Next up on my list is Wayne Ellington. He had a really bad game against the Warriors last night, and Yahoo sent an alert that like 3,000 people have dropped him already. It feels a little bit like an overreaction. Now, if you're playing in categories league, you're not going to get a ton from him, but you're definitely getting threes, like by the bushel. You're getting points, and you're getting solid percentages. Getting 6 3-pointers, and he's shooting 58% in a game like he did against the Lakers. Like, that's really good, even in a categories league, even though he's not, like stuffing the entire box score. He's rostered in 45% of leagues, so this isn't like some untapped gem, but I think that might go down with people dropping him. Detroit doesn't have a great schedule for streaming, but they do play on Tuesday. So if you're in a daily change league, you can probably get him in there, get your threes and points. I don't expect it to be another, 0% from the floor, 2 rebounds, no point game. That seems unlikely. So take a look. You plug him in there. Like, he's a professional athlete. He's probably not going to put a couple of these terrible, terrible games, like unrecognizable games back to back. Pick him up and get him in there probably Monday and Tuesday because they've got this back to back to start the week. And if it doesn't work out, then you can cut your losses. At 31% rostered, I think Trent Jr. is worth an ad for this week. I talked about him a little. Really, I just mentioned his name in the video I did yesterday. But Portland's got a good schedule for the daily change leagues because they play on both Tuesday and Thursday. So you're going to get them in on those streamable days. But even without that, in weekly league, they've got a 4-game week. They get to play Washington, which is going to be a great matchup for them. And he's really taken off. You know, the start of the year was a bit slow for Trent Jr. Like, if you were, a lot of people saw him, I assume a lot of people saw him in the bubble. I saw him in the bubble. And he played really well. And he didn't come into the season just like that. But now with McCollum out, Trent's minutes over the last few games are crazy. He had 41, 38, 37. If he's playing that many minutes, that's really going to help. You know, he had one game with 7 3-pointers. He's probably not going to keep doing that. He had one game with 4 steals. He's probably not going to keep doing that. But with outliers in diverse categories at the end of the week, those are going to average out and look like a really solid week. Like I said, 31% rostered. So most leagues, you can go out and get him. And you can plug him right in and play him this week. I think he's worth a look. Those are probably the guys I'm most excited about for this week. And, you know, for the prior weeks, I've just been throwing names at you. I figured I should take a minute and look at some people roster around that amount that I'd be willing to cut to try and help you out. Because sometimes it's like, well, who do I cut for Lamb to pick him up? I looked at Rui Hachimura, 52% rostered. Otto Porter's 57% rostered. I think I would rather pick up any of those guys. I definitely would make that cut to go get Thad Young if that was out there for me, to go get Trent Jr. and plug him in right for this week. I'm ready to do that. Doesn't mean you have to do it. None of these guys aren't like must drop, but to give you a sense of where I'm looking at, you know, much lower roster percentage, but Tristan Thompson at 18%. The guys I'm talking about are going to have way more upside than Tristan Thompson. If you have that, like, that's a move I would go ahead and make. Going back to the waiver ads for this week, I touched on it a little in the other video, but Utah's got the best streaming schedule, right? They play on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday when there's only 6, 5, and 5 games. So you're going to be able to pick up someone and actually use them that was specifically in a daily change league. So beyond Joe Ingles, who I talked about that I like the most out of that, I'd give Royce O'Neal a look if you want to stream him, and maybe Derek Favors, who looks like he's going to be healthy and play tonight. You can get Favors in there and try and get some blocks. I'm not cutting anything big for this. This is just, you know, a games played move to get those people in there for you for this week in a head-to-head because they're playing on those low volume days. Because if you're comparing them to someone, say, on Sacramento who plays Monday, Wednesday, Saturday when there's 10, 10, and 11 games, it's going to be really hard for you to get that Kings player in there. Whereas the Utah player, you're almost certainly going to be able to get into your lineup. So I would take that look if you have that spot, but don't cut someone that you're super excited about just to get a couple extra games. Like, don't go too far would be my caution with you. If you need a big man for this week, I'd give Cody Zeller a look. He had an unusual game just last night. 7 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists, which, yeah, is good. We'll take that from a center if you can pick him up. But Charlotte's got 4 games. They've got an okay schedule. Nothing really stands out. It wouldn't really be a streamer because they're playing on the high volume days, at least till Sunday. You know, if he's still out there at the end of the week and you just want to, you know, count on some rebounds, you need a big man, he plays Washington at the end of the week. You definitely want to pick him up for the weekend if he's still out there. He's rostered in 26% of leagues, so he's available in about 3/4 of leagues. If you want someone that you can slot into the power forward spot, but maybe isn't really giving you big man stats, give Jae Crowder a look. He's rostered in 44% of leagues, so he's not going to be as available as some of the guys I just talked about. But he's starting now with Booker out, and so he's playing well. This is another guy where if you pick him up, you might be able to get used more than just this 1 week when Phoenix is playing 4 games. But if Booker is going to be out for a little while, you might be able to stretch this move to have him for a couple of weeks. You know, the last couple of games, he had 14-3. It's not going to knock your socks off, but 16-9. That's great. He's been getting at least a steal a game. You know, if you're talking an average of like 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists with over 2 3-pointers and a steal, like that's pretty good. And while the games are a little up and down, that's what he's averaging out to if I look at it for the last 4 games. So I definitely think Jae Crowder is worth a pickup and getting him right into the lineup. Beyond that, most of the rest of the names I have are probably more for the watch list. I think Darius Bazely is worth having on your roster. He's 30% rostered, so he's available to if you want to pick him up. OKC's got a pretty good week, so there's an option. But when I get a little bit lower, I'm not going to push too hard. I think Jared Vanderbilt's a good player, 23% rostered. So it was weird. He just didn't play in the last game. I don't know if there's a disciplinary action or what. He's supposed to play tonight, Sunday night, so I'm watching that. But Karl-Anthony Towns is also supposed to be coming back this week, I think. So I don't want to push too hard on, like, get him in there and lock him into your weekly leagues. But I think Vanderbilt's a good player, so I would keep an eye on him. Definitely put him on your watch list if he's available in your league. This week, keep an eye on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's rostered in 13% of leagues. You don't have to run out and get him right now, but definitely go, like, throw the flag on him on your watch list in case you want to grab him. The rumors are going pretty strong that JJ Redick might get traded. In fact, who knows? Maybe it'll be done by the time I get this video out. But if he leaves, there's going to be more minutes, and then I'm going to really want to be tracking that. So go ahead and take a look at him. Along those lines, another sneaky, like, what-if move. I'm keeping an eye on Davis Bertans. He's rostered in 64% of leagues, so it doesn't count for what we're talking about, right? But he had a stinker of a game. 1.3 rebounds, and he played full 25 minutes. I'm sure he's just rounding back into form. Like, they've been out, whether he had COVID or just hasn't been playing. He's been out. But I could see owners, like, he hasn't been great this season anyway. I could see owners getting really frustrated seeing he came back and did this. I think that number might dip. So just, like, track him. Like, flag the player even if he's on your opponent's rosters in case, in a couple of weeks this matters. This isn't a move now. It was just something I noticed that, like, if Wayne Ellington's had 3,000 drops after that bad game, I think Davis Bertans is going to go down, and just, like, track it. See if he bounces back in a week and a half, maybe rounds into form. There could be some real value there. And that'll do it for this show. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment below in some of the other content you'd like me to do. I want to start getting videos out to you guys midweek, and I just need help cultivating some ideas. Do you want me to help you find some trade targets, more players drop or give up on? How can I help you? And I'll do the research and come at you. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and go out and win your week.